What's up, y'all? It's your boy G in Bacolod, Philippines. Aloha. In this video, I'm going to be talking about spending money in the Philippines, the do's and the don'ts. If you're thinking about visiting the Philippines or moving here, then this video is for you. Let's go. So the first order of business before even discussing money in the Philippines is having access to your money. While visiting another country, you need to have access to your bank in your home country. Do that by making sure things are in place before even going to another country, like lifting holds on your accounts and getting access to Wi-Fi or international calling plans. My phone service provider is T-Mobile, and I have the option to buy an international pass. I also use Skype to make outgoing international phone calls. You may choose to install a local SIM card or get a hotspot or Starlink. Whatever you do, just make sure you have access to Wi-Fi and a way to make international phone calls. Quick story, when I got to Canada one time, I got stuck at the beach. I tried to use Uber to get back to the airport, but the debit card attached to my Uber account had declined, and I didn't have enough cash on hand to take a taxi. I tried to call the bank customer service to find out why my car got declined, but the call didn't go through because I didn't purchase the international calling plan. At that point, I couldn't call customer service to my bank, and I couldn't call customer service to T-Mobile to purchase an international calling plan. So I had to flag a stranger down in order to use a phone to make an international phone call to call my bank, all for them to tell me that my account had gotten flagged because of suspicious activity. And the suspicious activity was simply me trying to use my card all the way in Canada. It was an endless, frustrating cycle of me not having access to my money. So guys, make sure you take care of that before you leave. Make sure you always have access to your money. Now that we have that squared away, let's talk about money in the Philippines. You're going to be making a lot of purchases, and you're going to be making them very fast. You're going to want to know, when you purchase something in pesos, how much does that convert to in US dollars? A lot of times that'll help you make a quick and informed decision on whether or not to move forward with the purchase. There's a quick way to calculate or do the conversion from pesos to dollars. All you have to remember is this: double to the left. Double to the left is not accurate, but it'll give you a ballpark figure on how much something will cost in US dollars. Okay, let's say you walk into a store and you see something that is 11,400 pesos. You want to double that, 22,800, and 2 to the left. So you're going to move the decimal point over 2 spaces to the left. You will be spending approximately $228 on that product. So it'll give you a rough estimate on how much in US dollars you will be paying. And to be honest, I thought I was the one that came up with that bright idea, but I can't take credit because that concept had been out way before I started putting out videos. When I started following Gerard Black in the Philippines, I noticed that he had already spoken this concept about 3 years ago.
250 pesos is $5.
So to that, I have to give the man credit. All right, so let's talk about the most used currency that's circulating in the Philippines. All right, so we're gonna start off with 1 peso. There are units smaller than the peso. However, we're just gonna start off with the basic peso. So the one on the left is an older one. In 2017, there were new coins that came out in circulation. So that one is the new one. Next, we have the 5 peso. Again, on the left, the older, the right, the newer. Now we have the 10 peso. On the left, the older, the right, the newer. So you're looking at a 20 peso. The one on the left is older, and this is when we start getting into the banknotes, the actual bills. So we have a 20 peso bill, then we have a 50 peso bill, then we have a 100 peso bill, then we have a 200, a 500, and then the biggest one, which is 1,000. So these are all of the currencies that are in current circulation right now. You'll see a lot of these once you come to the Philippines. So to keep yourself from looking foolish and disrespecting the Filipino people like I did, try not to make purchases using your American brain. Let me explain. So you're gonna walk into a restaurant and you're gonna see something on the menu that is 330 pesos, but your American brain is gonna convert that to dollars. So you're gonna see that as $3.30. So what you're gonna do is hand the cashier a 20 peso bill, expecting to get maybe 16 and some change back, but the cashier is gonna be looking at you like you're a fool because 20 peso bill isn't enough to even put lettuce on a cheeseburger. The correct thing to do would be to give them 330 pesos. All right guys, so let's talk about leaving tips. Tips for service are somewhat encouraged, but not expected nearly as much as in America. In fact, a beautician once told me that the tips that she gets were only from Westerners. Once being here for a while, you'll find that tipping doesn't look like leaving $10 on the table, but it looks like slightly overpaying and expecting them to keep the change. In most of the rideshare or delivery apps, it'll give you the option to leave a tip. It won't have a percentage, but it'll have like a set amount, like 20, 50, or 100 pesos, something like that. The services that I would tip for the most would be waitresses, parking attendants, gas pumpers, or anyone that's carrying your bags or something that's heavy for you for an extended amount of time. One service worker that you would expect I tip, but sometimes I don't, would be tricycle drivers. Reason being, sometimes they're not consistent with their pricing, and a lot of times they'll overcharge you 4 to 5 times more than a jeepney. And plus, the locals don't really tip them either. Sometimes I hand them a larger bill and ask if they have change, and they'll intentionally say no to persuade you to forfeit your larger bill so that they don't have to give you change. That's why when you're traveling, it's important to have all of your change and not just a stack of 1,000 peso bills. What a grocery store cashier makes in 8 hours, some tricycles can make that in 1 hour, especially if they're specifically targeting foreigners. All right, so let's talk about obtaining money from your original bank, the bank from your country of origin, to yourself in another country. I can't speak for everyone, but what I do is I attach my checking account to my Western Union. That way I can send money from myself to myself. Western Union has an app, and Western Unions are abundant here in the Philippines. It usually takes about 2 minutes in order to make a transfer. It's very instant. There's a lot of smaller financial institutions here in the Philippines that won't say Western Union on the outside, but they do actually do Western Union. So you basically just arrive to a Western Union, show your passport, and provide them the reference number that was sent to you when you initiated the transfer, and that's it. Walk out with your money. All right, so let's talk about opening a bank account here in the Philippines. As mentioned previously, you want to have access to your money at all times. If you're going to be staying here a while, 6 months plus, I would suggest opening a bank account here. Opening a bank account here, for instance, at a BDO bank, will require that an applicant had lived here for 6 months. An applicant will also have to acquire and present local government identification. A passport isn't good enough. If you're here less than 6 months, just simply access your funds from a US bank account. I would suggest that you not withdraw any more than 20,000 pesos at a time. And once you get below a certain threshold, say 5K, then just re-up on another 15K pesos at that time. The only time I would consider being in possession of more than 20K would be if I was in bad health and there was a high risk of me visiting a hospital. Most hospitals here won't even look at you unless you have a lot of cash on hand. So let's talk about buying property. Just keep in mind, for the most part, foreigners cannot buy land in the Philippines. They can, however, buy the structure that's sitting on the land, such as condominiums. Now, there are rare instances in which foreigners can own land, such as become a naturalized citizen after 10 years plus. Or you can legally acquire land after a spouse that was a citizen passes away. However, even then, there might be a time frame in which you can only own the property for a certain amount of time. So take caution when buying a property in the Philippines. Talk to a trusted realtor and make sure you get a lawyer to draft legal docs that detail exactly how to proceed with property or land under extenuating circumstances. If you plan on buying property, if possible, I would suggest obtaining funds from a bank of a country in which you came from, or paying cash in installments directly to the contractor. Basically, buying as you build, meaning the contractor will only build as much as you pay him. Once a certain amount of work is completed, he stops until another installment is paid. Then he continues to work. The two main ways to obtain a mortgage in the Philippines is through Pag-ibig or a bank loan, with Pag-ibig being the government agency that funds mortgages, kind of similar to FHA. Both of these loans may have restrictions that may not work for you, such as age limits or caps on the amounts borrowed. Unlike Americans that like to shop around to get the best loan officer and bank to get the best pre-approval, Filipino home buyers, if using a bank loan, will usually get a home loan through the bank in which they have an account with. Let's talk about credit cards. Unbeknownst to me, credit here does work similarly as it would in the US. You can go through credit report agencies like TransUnion to get your credit score. They have secured and unsecured cards just like the US, and their cards have points and rewards just like the US. However, on their credit report, agencies look at two things that in the US they don't look at: employment and utilities. In the United States, if you're delinquent on your utilities for a couple of months, they usually just turn it off until the balance is paid in full. Then they'll turn it back on. Credit cards in the Philippines are generally reserved for the middle class, unlike America, where they pretty much give them out to anybody. In fact, I remember when I was 17 years old in college, South Park was a new show that was coming out. Banks were giving out Cartman shirts in exchange for credit card applications. By the end of the week, everyone in college had a Cartman shirt that they were walking around with on campus. So you could tell immediately who were the dumbasses that applied for a credit card with that bank, including myself. So let's talk about GCash. GCash is the most popular fund transfer app in the Philippines. GCash can only be used by setting up a local phone number, and you can do that by installing a local SIM card. If you use an American phone number to set up a GCash account, it'll ask you, are you a Filipino citizen? And will decline setup after uploading an American passport. And like a bank account, I wouldn't even set up GCash unless I was here for 6 months plus. If you're staying less than that, using cash or a credit card with the tap feature is sufficient for everything. GCash is really just used for locals to pay bills every month, to renew loads on local phones, or to pay someone back that you owe money to. So that's all I have for today. If you have any tips on currency or money management in the Philippines, go ahead and leave in the comments below. It's your boy G, Bacolod Philippines. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and as always, stay blessed. I'll holla at you later. Aloha. If this video was of value to you, like, comment, share, subscribe, and as always, it's your boy G. Be blessed. I'll holla at you later. Aloha.